Okay.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs. Just getting started here with Tony Kennedy. Tony, you there, buddy? All
I
right, great.
am
We got
here.
Tony.
I
Hey,
am here. Can
hey,
you can
we've
hear
got
me?
a special guest that's going to jump on the show as soon as Cody puts him in, okay?
Okay.
There he is. Hey, Coach.
What's going on? Can you hear me okay?
We hear you great, Coach. Hey,
Perfect.
everybody, welcome to the show, to the TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs, here with Tony Kennedy. And down below, this guy should be a household name in the DC metro area. I think he is, really. My opinion. One of the best high school coaches in the country. St. John's College High School's girls basketball coach, Jonathan Scribner. How you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome on the show. Now, everybody, Coach is from the DC area, is a local guy. You coached previously before you came to St. John's. You were coaching over at NCS, right?
That's correct. And I actually coached a couple of years at St. Albans as well on the boys' side before I took the job at NCS.
Okay. Now, you had an undefeated season over there at NCS. Shout out for that. But what you've done at St. John's has been truly special. You've been there. This is going to be your 16th year?
Actually, my 17th year.
Wow.
The COVID year throws things a little bit of wrench.
Right.
Mixes it up because we didn't really have a season, although we did play a bunch of games. But this was my 17th season coming up.
17th season coming up. You have put into college programs, and I know you're more proud of a lot of other things, but let's just go down the numbers. You've put over 30 young ladies into college basketball.
Yeah. I think I don't have the exact number. I do have it written. I have it in a spreadsheet somewhere, but I think it's somewhere around 37, 38.
37. That's amazing.
D1s and a number of other kids that have gone on to D3 programs. But yeah, it's been great for the kids.
Now, if I short you on these WCAC titles, please do not treat me bad at these alumni functions. I have you down as 9 WCAC championships. Is that right?
No, not. I wish, not quite. 7 WCAC championships and 7 DC city titles.
That's incredible.
We've been in the finals 11 of the last 13 years. And won 7 of those, and obviously losing 4 of them. But yes, it's 11 out of 13, pretty impressive, and 7 wins.
You finished top 5 nationally in the rankings. This is the national rankings 4 times or 5 times?
Boy.
I think it's 5.
You know what? I'd have to go back and look. I lose track, to be honest. I think it's somewhere around 4 or 5 that we've been. I mean, top 10, we've definitely finished 5 at least. I guess in Azzy's years, it was at least 2 and 1 with. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, somewhere in that range of 4 or 5 top 5 national ranked teams.
We're going to have to talk to my guys that do my research for me, man. I'm not doing so good today.
Well, with the multiple polls and all that kind of stuff, I mean, you can finish 4 in one poll and 7 in another. So it's not an exact science.
So listen, you've been coaching almost 30 years, involved with, high school athletics. What makes St. John's so good? What makes you so good, Coach? What are you guys doing right?
That's a great question. I mean, it all starts with the school, having the support from the school, giving you every opportunity to be successful, from the facilities to the things that Coach Smith does with the strength conditioning program, and just really wanting to see successful athletic programs, and certainly our program is one that gets all the support in the world we could possibly want. It's identifying great kids and great families that want to be part of a program. We always say, if you want to come here, you want to be part of something that's bigger than yourself. I have to say that, and I say this all the time, that I've surrounded myself with the best assistant coaches and the best basketball people that I possibly can, people that are smarter than me and know more about basketball than me, and, can fill in gaps. And you know, when you have that kind of a recipe, kind of a soup where all those ingredients are in there, and then you really focus on some core values of not just basketball, but just being a good person, you know, good character, you know, believing in a program, believing in, like I said again, something bigger than yourself, and buying in to the things that we think are successful both on and off the court. Then, you know, wins and championships and all that stuff is just a byproduct of what we're doing. And I truly believe that. And, you know, just been really, really fortunate to have, again, all of these aspects come together. But it starts with the kids and the families that come to St. John's and want to be a part of what our school and our student athlete experience is all about.
Now, St. John's was able to, you know, the ladies did their job, came up with a WCAC championship last year, and then the boys came up right behind that. Both teams playing Paul VI. The explosion of women's girls basketball here in the DC area and nationally, to me, is amazing. You know, I grew up here just like you did, and kind of saw, you know, where girls sports were in, say, the 70s and the 80s. When you look at where they are now, I mean, you know, I can see St. John's girls on TV when I want. Every now and then pop up on TV.
Yeah, there's no question. I think we have a potential opportunity to have a TV game when we go down to Florida in mid-December. But watching what's going on in the college game, and you know, what was it, like 9 million viewers of last year's NCAA championship game?
Oh yeah.
Just you know, the opportunity that the sports and basketball, particularly here in the DMV, I mean, it's the centerpiece, it's the hotbed of girls basketball, and in my opinion, boys basketball as well, on the face of the earth, to be honest. You know, there's more talent and more competitive teams and programs right here in the DMV than anywhere I know, and you know, it's just great to see, you know, especially at St. John's, where, you know, they cherish the female sports as much as the male sports, and you know, the opportunities that these kids have is just tremendous.
Hey, Tony, you have any questions for Coach? I don't want to keep you too long, Coach. I know you have a dinner to go to, so
I want to know.
I'm
Coach,
good. I got a little pushback, so I'm good to go.
Coach, I graduated from Virginia Tech, and you saw our girls program went to the Final Four last year. What are you doing to help our girls program this year? Can you send us some of those girls?
Well, listen, you got one of our all-time greats, Asia Shepard. Okay. And, you know, she's one of, one of the great success stories, at least in my coaching career. And she went on to, I think she's the all-time leader in three-point makes. She got drafted the WNBA. She won a WNBA championship, not this year, but last year with the Las Vegas Aces. And she has just been, so you got one of our really, really great ones. So, you know, we gotta keep our girls. Our first girl to go to Maryland, Kendall Walker, is going to be attending Maryland next year. So we're working on keeping our players home if they can. But really, you know, at the end of the day, these kids got to find what the right fit for them, both academically, socially, basketball, coaching, you know, team makeup. And, you know, there are a lot of great programs out there, but, you know, we've been fortunate that our kids have had a lot of opportunities.
Hey, Coach, I'm glad you are on this.
About that.
I think we lost you a little bit.
He's back.
Because I have been arguing, and these people don't understand. The Las Vegas Aces would whip any boys high school state champion. These people just don't know how skilled these women are. And
Well,
you got more pros.
I'm not going to get into that debate, but what I do think is that not only do they underestimate their skill level, they also underestimate their athleticism, their physicality, their IQ, their intellect, their willingness to compete. So I think there's a lot of underestimation. I saw some you know, social media posts running around about that debate, but you know, I do think that you know, again, the more you watch the women play, and our games are highly entertaining at the high school level. But the more you watch them play, the more you fall in love with the game of basketball and have appreciation what they bring to the table.
Mhm.
Hey, I'll throw my alma mater's hat in the ring. I will guarantee you the 1991 UVA women's team with Dawn Staley on it would probably dog out a lot of high school boys teams. I know that for a fact.
Those were some great teams back then for sure. There's no question.
Yeah.
And they had twins at 6'5" in the post, and one of them came off the bench. They had one that started, so they weren't small either. And had some great players. And some of those women off that team are now coaches. Tammy Reese is a coach. Obviously,
They lost to
Daly.
Tennessee, right?
What's
They
that?
lost to Tennessee in the championship, right?
Yeah. Pat Summitt said that was probably one of the toughest titles that she had to win because she had to deal with, Dawn Staley and, keep, hold her down. It was an amazing game. I remember watching that. But,
Awesome.
when you look at the Pat Summitt teams at Tennessee, you look at the Gino Auriemma teams that he's had and so much success at UConn, for a coach like Dawn Staley to break through what Gino has been able to do. And by the way, Gino used to be a UVA assistant, so he knew Dawn back in high school. So these generations, as these guys and gals come up into coaching, come through the game, and then get up to coach, beating the UConns of the world is not easy. I mean, it's amazing what the women's game is becoming, and there's more plateaus to reach, and more milestones. You've got what happened last year in the Final Four. It's one of the most entertaining Final Fours we've ever had. Lots of great storylines, and we're going to have another one this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually out of the country for the Final Four, and I was finding every nook and cranny I could get to a TV to watch that Final Four. So I just think it's only going to get better and better and better, and the competitive nature. And now it seems to be a little more parity in the college game, which I just think is great for sports in general. But
always great.
Never know, there's no like shoe-in, hands-on is going to go 36-0. It's going to be a battle, and it's going to be fun to watch.
When we look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we look at high school basketball on the girls' side here in the DC area. When you look at some of the stories of, the programs that develop and get better and better, it's great for St. John's to be near the top or at the top, however you want to slice it. When you look at the programs that are trying to get to that point, how do they get there? How do they get to the point where they're having not necessarily all the type of success you're having, but you've got to do it incrementally, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, 100%. Nothing's built, in a day. Although Sidwell Friends kind of had a nice convergence of things. And Coach Dudley came over and brought some training with her, and and just had a couple really nice pieces that were already at the school, and all of a sudden, boom, they're national contenders within a year or two. Listen, I think it takes a coach that is extremely passionate, that's going to go out and find the kids that are the right fits for their school, because not every kid is the right fit for every single school. So each school has its own unique kind of thing that you got to find the right types of players. The school's got to want to support the program and allocate resources towards the program. And when you have a convergence of coaches that are really good at doing that, and the schools want their athletic programs to be successful, and they're going to support it in whatever ways is necessary, then you got to build it. But like I said, I don't think it happens overnight. I think if you have a school that all of a sudden decides wants to bring in 5 transfers, that might be good for a year or two, but is that going to have you having nationally ranked pro teams over the course of a decade or longer? I'm not so sure. So you got to build it organically. You got to make your program attractive, and the schools obviously got to be a quality educational experience, and attract the right kinds of families and kids and players that can see can succeed both in the classroom first and foremost, and then are willing to come out and put the work in on the court.
I'm also thinking about this as well, Coach, and we're here on the TD Report with St. John's girls coach, varsity basketball coach Jonathan Scribner, also here with Tony Kennedy, talking a little bit of girls high school hoops, a little bit of women's college basketball too. And Tony threw in the WNBA, which is great. We don't get the WNBA a lot on the show, but what I want to mention is this also. Just as a parent of a kid that was playing in the WCAC, albeit not basketball, looking at what is the development of facilities. I'm seeing a lot of really nice facilities in the league. Now, I'm a St. John's alum, so I see a lot what's gone into St. John's. I graduated in '94, and I look at what the campus looks like, what the school looks like in terms of the money that's been put into it, and that's great. I love it. Looking at the other schools in the league, just our WCAC, you're starting to see a lot of other schools allocate more resources, not just to all sports, but definitely to women's sports in general.
Yeah, I mean, I would think across the board. I mean, it's you got to get with the times, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, I think, Dave, I think what St. John started with females in '92, maybe while you were there. Is that when the crossover was?
Was it late '80s, early '90s?
Just having a little bit of tech difficulties here with coaches.
Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you. I kind of thought, Dave. Can you?
Yeah, I think we might have lost Coach there for a second.
He said,
I got you, Tony.
When did St. John's start the girls programs? What years?
Oh, how long have we had girls?
Yeah.
What?
Folks, look like we're having technical difficulties tonight.
Am I back?
Yeah, you are back.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now we done lost Dave.
Yeah.
So he wanted to know when did the girls started? I thought it was late '80s, early '90s.
I believe they first year of girls at St. John's was, I believe, 1992. He was asking about facilities, and we obviously just opened our sort of renovated athletic center in 2021. That building was originally built for all boys military. Mm-hmm. So, the facilities and amenities for the female athletes certainly weren't there. And so that's one of the great things that has changed, and it's so awesome for the girls of all the sports now that there's everything that is available for both boys and girls, and I think we're seeing that across the St. Mary's. Rankin just put a whole brand new facility together. DeMatha obviously rebuilt their thing a few years back. I think this is the growing trend, and actually, Dave mentioned I was a coach at National Cathedral School from 2000 to 2006. And, they were really one of the very first to go in and build, a super state-of-the-art facility that's obviously still there today, that is just tremendous. And you're seeing a lot of these private schools do that. I mean, you're also seeing, DC is going across the board and renovating all of their high school, their public high schools, their elementary schools, one by one. You can't do it all overnight, but the upgrading of the facilities is definitely in the.
So you said, you got to get with the times. Have you guys got with the times with the NIL? What are you guys doing as far as NIL stuff?
That's a great question. So the NIL, we're not involved in the NIL right now at the high school level at all. But we are working, and we're having some conversations and meeting with some groups that could come in and not to represent our high school players to get NIL deals, but potentially just education on what the NIL process is all about. What the do's and the don'ts are, the pitfalls, the things that you can get in trouble with, how to maximize, so that when a place like St. John's across the board, where you have, multiple sports with multiple high level Division I athletes, many of which will have NIL opportunities. I think our goal that we're talking about is trying to educate them and their families how to best navigate that stream. Maybe one day our athletes will be getting NIL deals as high schoolers. That I know that has happened in other places and in other sports potentially. That has not been the case, at least as far as I know. Maybe it has at St. John's, and I'm just not aware of it, but I don't believe it has.
Okay.
but the future is it's not that far away. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean it's right around the corner, and I always said, always have a saying, adapt or die. And if you're not adapting, you will die.
You'll be left behind for sure.
Yeah, you will be left behind. One more thing.
Yep.
How do you see with the advent of the NIL? How do you see it just changing your job as a recruiter? I mean, how do you see that changing your job?
So honestly, I don't know if I'll be around long enough to where bringing in, talking to parents of 7th and 8th graders that we're looking to bring to St. John's, where NIL will be a factor. I can't imagine that happening, but it was interesting. I just went to a great event yesterday and listened to Roy Williams and Gary Williams and Jay Wright and some other coaches talking about this stuff. It absolutely has changed everything on the college level in terms of how they do their job, how much time they got to put in, more than they used to, and just how much of a factor that piece is in the recruiting of the college athletes. It feels to me, having been in the girls' high school game for like 20 years now, plus years, the boys always seem to be 5 or 6 years ahead of what's going on in the girls in terms of whether it's AAU or, the national televised games or, these kind of academies that are popping up all around the country that are bringing in, recruiting kids from all over the country, the world for that matter. The girls always seem to be like, 5 or 6 years behind in terms of doing that. So I can see it being on the boys' side before the girls. But, if you take a wide angle view, it's going to be here at some point. That's there's no doubt about that.
Can you hear us, Dave?
Yep, I'm back. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. You had the conversation going without me. It's all good. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot before we get you out of here. Y'all winning the WCAC again this year, right?
That's our expectation, 100%. I mean, look, I got 6 seniors coming back, all coming off of back-to-back championships. They know what it takes. They know what's required. I mean, look, it's hard to win a championship. You got to have a lot of things go right. It's not always the most talented team or the best team. Health always plays a big part of it. And in any given night, anything can happen. But, certainly, it's our goal every year. WCAC is our number one goal, before we have a number of other goals for a season. But, we feel we have the roster. We feel we have the experience. We feel we have the buy-in. We feel we have the culture. So we're ready to go. We're healthy as it is for now, except for a couple kids, and we'll hope we get back pretty soon. But, the season is long. Lots of things happen. There's always, always, always a bit of luck involved in any championship run. And so, all things got to come together for that to happen.
Yeah, that's in any team, for any of this stuff, and people don't understand that. Yeah, it's just being at the right time, the right place, not having injuries, and just the chemistry too. I mean,
listen, it is. It's hard to win a championship on any level in any sport because a lot of things got to go the right way. And, one little turn. I mean, look at the Jets, for example. You never know, right? 4 plays in, boom, their championship aspirations more or less out the window. So, we've been real fortunate, and we've had some good things turn our way. I think we create a lot of our own luck, and I believe in that. So that's part of it. But certainly we're going into this season feeling really good about our opportunity and our chance.
Coach, yesterday we lost one of the big basketball pioneers in Bobby Knight. Give us did you ever meet Bobby Knight?
I did meet Bobby Knight because my high school coach, Bob Brown, because I went to St. Albans, and he actually just passed away last year.
Sorry about that.
A legend at St. Albans in both basketball and baseball. He then went on to be an assistant with Coach Kelly at Bullis on the boys' side for many, many years. Coach Knight was his mentor of sorts. And so I met him when we went to a team camp when I was in high school. Obviously a controversial type of coach. And, I think that, for Coach Knight, you either loved him and wanted, he was the greatest person in your life ever, or he wasn't your cup of tea, and probably not very much in between. Obviously a legend, and, sad to see his passing, but, he certainly one of the all-time greats.
Also, I want to bring up that one of my mentors was Artie Bryant, who passed away. That was big in y'all basketball community there. I know you met Artie. His daughter played for you, correct?
No. So I was, you might get me a little emotional here, because I didn't know whether you'd bring him up or not. Artie's daughter, I got the job the year after she graduated.
Okay.
Artie was he stayed on staff with me on the girls' side in my first year, and he really held my hand in ways that I'll never forget. And he was instrumental. And when I say instrumental, I mean instrumental in helping me adjust to the WCAC, teaching me a lot about the league, a lot about coaching higher level players. He's one of my all-time great mentors, but also way more importantly, one of my dearest friends. And I miss him greatly. And I wish I just had one more time to tell him thank you for everything that he did, not just for me, but for, just being at his services, and all the players that reached out to me when it happened, and just the reach and the touch that he had. He was a great mentor to my son. He was a guy I sought advice when I needed anything advice. He's one of the very first people I called. Just really devastating loss.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
What I found interesting about Artie was I did get a chance to listen to some of his spoken word, and he's really amazing. He was a great guest on our show talking basketball and high school and college sports. But he was truly a Renaissance man in that regard, in terms of having many other interests outside of sports, outside of just not education and working with the youth. So, his loss to the St. John's community is immense.
Well, which is why when you sought advice, he was a guy to go to, because he wasn't, pigeonholed, narrow-minded into basketball. It was he saw things from a global perspective, and I can't tell you how many times I reached out to him with just advice what I should do with my own son, who's an athlete, and because he was the guy I knew was going to give me a perspective that was way bigger and broader than just sports. And just truly one of the all-time greats.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I had known him for 40 years, so we to his family.
Miss him dearly, and Dom and Darian, great.
It's going to be a tough season without him at St. John's. He was a big part of the school.
Very much so.
So listen, Coach, we held you back a little longer than we thought we would, but we love talking sports. We want to thank you for coming on the show.
Anytime, love to come on anytime, maybe mid-season or whatever. Have a mid-season recap. Yeah. Just let me know.
We will definitely reach out.
We'll get you back on.
All right, fantastic. Appreciate y'all very much.
And I wanted to say one thing before you go, Coach. The event. When does girls start this year? When do you guys start?
So we open tryouts next Wednesday, November 8th. And then our first game will be December 1. So we got, like about 2.5 to 3 weeks of preseason stuff. And then it's on. So November 8th is the official starting day for all WCAC winter sports.
That's next Wednesday.
Okay. Wednesday. I'll be out there to make sure your assistant coach. I'll be out there to make sure your assistant coach Brandon Quinn does his job.
Yeah, we got to push him. He's got to work a little harder. No, it's been great having Coach Quinn with us on the staff.
He's going to be coaching the girls. I'm going to be coaching Brendan.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hey, thanks a lot for joining us, Coach.
Right,
everybody.
Time,
Jonathan Scribner, varsity head coach at St. John's. Thank you.
Take care.
Great guest. TK, we ready to talk about, let's talk a little bit about Bobby Knight here on the show real quick. You touched on it. You jumped into the question with Coach Scribner, who gave great insight on his relationship. Tony, let's talk about the big picture. What did Bobby Knight do for college basketball?
Bobby Knight was that guy. We get technical difficulty. Bobby Knight, guys, was that guy. He won 3 championships, was undefeated in 76, beat Michigan in the title game, beat Dean Smith in 81 in Philly, the day that Ronald Reagan was shot. And they didn't know if they were going to play the game. I believe it was March 30th, 1981. Indiana played Carolina for the national championship up in the Spectrum in Philly with Isaiah Thomas. And then in 87, with Keith Smart beating Syracuse. That game was also in the Superdome in 87. So yeah, Bobby Knight was special. Those 3 championships don't say much for what he did. I mean, what he did in 84 Olympics, he was really, truly the last college coach to win the Olympics with college kids. 88, John Thompson lost, and 92, we had the Dream Team. So, yeah, he was that guy. Tough man to man, and just tough nose. I mean, the old school caught up to Bobby Knight. It came into the new school where the videos and everything else and all the controversy or whatever. But like Coach said, you either loved him or hate him. Bobby Knight was that guy. He was that coach. He could coach. And, rest in peace, sir. You advanced that game of college basketball. People really, really would watch the game and come to the games to watch Bobby Knight. Him and John Thompson and Dean Smith. I mean, these guys were larger than life back then. I mean, we're talking about the 70s, mid-70s to late 80s. College basketball, I don't think it was a better era than when all those guys were there. He died as never seeing anybody catch his record and being an undefeated team. That's one thing you have to go. Yes, rest in peace, Coach Tom. He died like Shula died. Nobody got his record. Undefeated champion, national champion, 1976. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but he was 83, lived a good life. Millions of guys in the pros. Today, also, Walter Davis passed away. If you didn't know Walter Davis, they called him the Greyhound. He went to North Carolina. Walter Davis passed away today at 69 years of age. So, the basketball community has lost a little bit here with these two. And I want to say to my Carolina people, rest in peace, Greyhound. He was a hell of a player. He was before Jordan and before Worthy and before Black. Walter Davis with Dean Smith was a hell of a player. So we lost another one there. Dave is not on here. We're having a lot of technical difficulties tonight. We don't obviously know, but I kind of wanted to kind of bring you up to date on the trades. We hit the trades. We hit who passed away. We have some big games this weekend coming up in the NFL. Philly versus Dallas is the game of the week. 4:00 on Sunday. We have in Frankfurt, Germany, you have KC. I believe it's KC versus Miami. So at 9:30 in the morning on Sunday, that's going to be a pretty big game too. But I believe Buffalo plays the Bengals. Pretty big game. So we got some big games here. Right now, after the trade deadline, now you're about to see the teams separate. Now you can start seeing the jockeying for playoffs. So now you can start mentioning the P word, playoffs, because if you playoffs or you draft pick, that's where you are now. I think San Francisco did a heck of a job of getting Chase. They needed Chase. Needed another person opposite of Bosa to help put some pressure on them, because obviously their back end is not, they're not covering. That's going to help San Francisco out. Well, it's going to speed the game up for the opposing quarterback. That may be the difference for them winning later on in the year, with having two good guys coming off that edge. Not just one, where they can just double and triple team Bosa. You're going to have to worry about Chase putting pressure, because he is legit. Washington also got rid of Sweat. The only thing is, we didn't think they were going to get rid of both of those guys. People got different ways of looking at it. And to me, it just seemed like they gave up on the season. If you get rid of both of them, you're supposed to get rid of one, but both. I hope the backups can put some pressure on these dudes. The Philly, well, they don't have to play Philly no more. They play Dallas in a couple weeks. The Giants, those teams like that in the division. If you can't win a division, you cannot win. If you can't win a division, it's going to be hard to go to the playoffs. And I don't think they're looking at playoffs now. I think it's 3-5. If you want to get an update on them, I think they done melded in, unfortunately for them. Cody, I think Philadelphia is as strong as it is, but it's something about Philly that's missing something. I think Jalen Hurts. I think he's hurt, and they're not telling you that he's hurt. If he's one-dimensional, he's not Jalen Hurts. He has to be two-dimensional to beat Dallas. He has to put pressure on Dallas defense with his arm and his legs. That is how he will beat Dallas. He cannot be one-dimensional and sit back in that pocket, because now that's what Dallas wants you to do. But that game only comes down to one person, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can use his legs and become a two-dimensional player. I think Dallas will beat him if that happens. If that doesn't happen, it'll be just like Dallas plays San Francisco. It won't be a game. So you have to look at it in that way. Other than that, I believe this for my Ravens people. I said it on the last show. I think pound for pound, they are probably the best team in the league. Hard to say that. Hated to say it. But it's going to be extremely hard to stop them. I just don't think many people are going to be able to stop them. It's going to be extremely hard to stop them. So, but hey, folks, we're gonna wrap it up, because we don't have Dave. We don't have anyone. We have technical difficulties. I wanted to kind of bring you up to date. We will see you Monday night after all the big games. Make sure you hit us on Spotify. Make sure you go and sign up with us, please. The TD Report. We celebrate 3 years here. Come soon. We just do it. We come out. We do it. We talk sports. Well, we got 1 viewer, 50 viewer. We're going to always be here talking sports and keeping it real for you guys. Having fun. All right. Go Hokies. Go Cowboys. But follow us, please. All right. See you.